Okay, so what we have done yesterday, we were understanding the HTTP, correct? So we have discussed the theory behind HTTP. We have discussed how HTTP works, what are different methods of HTTP, right? Then what is the request, what is the response, what are the headers, what is body. Now here if you see, we are posting something. If you see here, we are posting something. Can you see this data? That data we are converting to, here we have used the text encoder, and we are encoding JSON over here. If you log it, console.log data, okay, and see what happens. Can you see? Encoding would be happening like this. This is encoding. The data has been getting encoded to by means of text encoder, and that is JSON. So what type of data you want to encode? You want to encode JSON type of data. Now what is JSON? We will discuss first. What do you mean by JSON? That we will discuss. Yeah. So when you talk about JSON, right, when you talk about JSON, you are talking about something called as JavaScript object notation. What you are talking about? You are talking about JavaScript object notations. Means something which is looking like JavaScript object. I'll show you, for example. For example, let's open the console or JSON. JSON formatter. Let us discuss what do you mean by JSON first. Okay, so when you talk about JSON, remember that you are talking about something which is inside the curly braces. Can you see first curly brace? Here end curly brace, correct? First curly brace and end curly brace. First curly bracket, end curly bracket. Can you see that? And inside that, key and value. Here you need to pass key in the string. Keys are always in the string, remember that. And here you can say day, and day's value can be Monday. Here we can say number day. What's the number? Can you see? You can have this also, like this number is holiday or is off, false, we can say it is not a holiday. Okay, and date would be, you can say 2nd August 2021, 08 and 02, like this you can pass date. Or key value pairs. Can you see? Keys can be string, values can be other types like number and boolean. We can, okay, or consider say week one more value, Okay, this key can be another JavaScript object. Key can be another JavaScript, sorry, value can be another JavaScript object, and here we can say week, calendar, we can say normal. Okay, well, key can be adjacent, can be string, value can be array. Here you can pass something called as array, and if I write array of numbers, array of whatever, adjacent, let's have array of numbers 20, 21, 23, 24, like that. Now if you format it, you will invalid JSON. Where is invalid? Week. Oh, here.
I think we missed the comma.
Yeah, can you see? It is looking like this. Actually, this is original raw JSON, but it is looking like formatted is this. So what is JSON? JavaScript object notation. What is JSON? JavaScript object notation. Something which will look like JavaScript object. Remember that. Now this can be easily converted to JavaScript object. I will show you. Just copy, inspect it, and in the console I will say JSON or const str. This is a string, remember that. This is what? Normal string. Str is equals to invalid exception. Okay, fine. Str is equals to what? This much object. Str is equals to what? This much object or this much string. Now you can say JSON dot parse, and you can pass this str and hit the enter. 1 of 12. Str is not defined. Const str is equals to
I think it will take the multi-line.
Yeah, just a moment. I'll create a folder day 8. So in a day 8, new file we will create, main http json.js. Okay, const str is equals to okay, this is a normal str. Just print it, console.log str. Okay, Vikas, any query?
No, sir.
Going good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have printed simple string over here, correct? We have printed simple string, and let's try to day 8. We are discussing what is JSON. I'll come back to once more architecture of the HTTP node, and you can say main HTTP JSON. Can you see it is printing the string properly? It is properly printing the string. There is no problem. Okay. So this guy is a JSON. What is a JSON? JavaScript object notation. So let's try to convert this. Now see, JavaScript object can be converted easily to the JSON, and JSON can be converted easily to the JavaScript object, because they are looking like same only. If you talk about JavaScript object will look like this only. Let's try to convert it to JavaScript object. Again, I will do console.log, and here JSON.parse. So you are trying to parse this string to the JSON object. Remember that here the string would be getting converted to the JSON. Okay, let's try it and see here. Can you see? This is a JavaScript object from this raw JSON. From this raw JSON, you get here JavaScript object. So JSON to JavaScript object to JSON can be done by means of built-in JSON library. The JSON library is built in. So here str is nothing but normal JSON str. That str is getting converted to the JSON object like this. Well, now if we have any object, say const dt is equals to this JavaScript object. We can say date is a today's date 2021 0802 0802. This is my JavaScript object. Or let's have something day. I can have Monday, and here I can have number is the first. Number would be is a first day in a week. Now I have this JavaScript object and I want to convert it to the JSON. Now see, console.log, again JSON.stringify. You can convert it to the JSON string dt. Remember that if you have JSON with you and you want to convert it to the object, you will use parse function. If you have object and if you want to convert it to the JSON, you will use stringify function. Let's clear it and see here. Can you see here? You are getting a JSON string over here, right? JSON string over here. I hope you have clear, means how to convert JSON string to object, how to convert JavaScript object to the string. This is how to and from conversion will happen. But my question is that what exactly this JSON is and why we are worrying it about. Means whenever you have server and whenever you have client, right, we have discussed that both are going to communicate with the protocol, or both are following the protocol, which is nothing but what? HTTP. Both are following the protocol HTTP. Getting that? They are following the protocol HTTP. This is the communication protocol. What I am saying, this server and this client are communicating with each other over HTTP. You getting that? They are communicating with each other over HTTP. Okay, now what type of data they will send? What's my question? What type of data they will send? They will send JSON type of data. They will communicate by means of what? JSON type of data. This is a data communication or the data exchange format. This can be your normal HTML, this can be your XML, this can be PDF, this can be XML, this can be image, this can be MP3, whatever. Server and client can communicate with each other by means of different data exchange formats. There are a lot of data exchange format, and client and server can communicate with each other by means of these exchange formats, and we call it as MIME types. What we call it as? Content type, or in more technical, MIME types. We call it as what? MIME types or the content types. So whatever communication is happening, this communication, remember that content type is a header. Content type is a header. So whenever client makes a request, client says that I am sending the content of type JSON. So whenever server is sending data back to the client, which says that I am sending content of type JSON. Well, there is one more header, accept. There is one more header, accept. And what does it mean? It is a request header. Request header says that I am going to accept the JSON type of data. So you are telling server that please send me JSON type of data. So whenever you find a request where content type and accept has been written, whenever content type JSON and accept JSON, whenever you see a request where your content type is JSON and accept is JSON, remember both are same. You will find both are same. Why we have written two times? Content is representing the content in the request or in the response. Accept in a request suggests that what type of content I am going to accept from the server. What type of content I am going to accept from the server, that is represented by this accept. So content type and accept JSON. Okay, it's actually application JSON, application / JSON. It is actually what? Application / MIME type is exactly application / JSON. If you go here, Mozilla HTTP MIME types. MIME types, you will get a lot of MIME types below: application, audio, example, font, image, model, text, video, multipart types. A lot of types are there. Important for web developers: application octet stream, text plain. These are we are going to use this: application octet stream, text plain, text CSS, text HTML, text JavaScript, right? Image types, these are the image types. Audio video types, these are the audio video types. Multipart form data and many other, right? So when you say MIME type, multi-purpose internal mail extensions, remember that multi-purpose internet mail extensions is a standard that indicates the nature and the format of document, file, right? It is defined and standardized in RFC 6838. So these are the standards. Remember that these are the standards. So if you see, browser uses the MIME type not the file extension, to determine how to process the URL. So it is important that web servers send the correct MIME type in response by content type header, right? If this is not correctly configured, browsers are likely to miss what they mean to say. I'll tell you in a short. Whenever you type, whenever you, what you can say, play MP3 in a browser, automatically it opens the MP3 player. How does that happen? Because that response is having content type header. It automatically open the PDF. Browser automatically open the PDF. How does that happen? Because of the content type, right? Because of what? Content type. Getting that? Or if it is a MP3, it automatically download and save it and play it. How does that happen? That happens because of the content type. Can you see? And download the files in this way. Okay? So remember that this is nothing but what? MIME type. This is nothing but what? MIME type. And MIME type is what? Data, a representation of the data exchange format. Remember that these are the interview questions. So MIME, you will get interview question on the MIME type. Mostly the people ask, what is this octet string? If you see this octet string, this is the default for binary files. This is the interview question. As it means unknown binary file, browsers usually don't execute it or even ask if it should be executed, right? So they treat it as a content disposition is another header was set to attachment or not, and save as a dialog. So content octet stream, if you want to, from the server, if you want to send your PDF file, if you want to send Excel file, if you want to send CSV file, at that time this content octet stream is used, and at that time content disposition is also set. We'll discuss this later on, don't worry. Whenever we are going to see the file handling or how to send the files from the server, we'll see this thing at the time of Express.js. Okay, so this is nothing but your JSON. This is nothing but what? The JSON and MIME type. Okay, and that's what it is doing here. So here, can you see content type? You are saying application /JSON. So we discussed this. What do you mean by content type? So here you are saying that I have a request. Inside that request, I am sending JSON as a data. I am sending what? JSON as a data. Well, content length is optional. You pass it or you don't pass it, it will be automatically there for some of the clients. For the HTTP it might not be there, right? But it would be available for some of the HTTP clients. Okay, so request.write data. So this encoded data you are passing, and it would be reaching to the server as JSON. Okay, so this is about what? The yesterday's code, and I was about to tell you these things yesterday, and we have covered it today. Okay?
So sir, one question here.
Yes.
How decode part works here? Like we are encoding the data. So where exactly the decoding part is happening?
See, the server is knowing how to decode the JSON.
Okay.
Right? Server has already feature of the decoding the JSON. So all the servers they have something called as middleware. Right? So when you get a JSON, they decode at their end. If you just go to the text encoder, if you just go to the text encoder takes a stream of code points, right, and input and emits the stream of bytes. It's a what? Stream of what? Bytes for the for more scalable and non-native, see the string view, a C-like representation, just forget about that. But you just need to remember what it emits, a stream of what? Bytes. Now server knows how to convert it from bytes to the regular data.
So we don't need to perform any operation for that.
No, you don't need to, because presently you are on the client side.
Okay.
From the Node.js application, you are calling this URL. From the Node.js application, you are calling this URL. Correct? Hello?
Right. Right. Sir.
Presently we haven't written a server. We are going to write the server. Any other query?
What if we send data without encoding it?
Okay.
Inside.
Okay. I'll just copy this. And instead of this, what we will see? JSON.stringify. If you remember about the buffers, we have discussed something.
Yeah.
See. Okay. Not this. Need to move to the CD. Day 7. Yes, see. Hi, hello. You are passing this JSON, right? You are passing this JSON, and you are getting status code 201 again. Just a moment. You will get status code 201 again, right? That will work, no problem. But technique or principle says that, if you see this, principle says that I would be needing the byte buffer, right? What it says that I would be needing the byte buffer, and internally all your native level application uses, or all your raw level application uses buffer. So instead of passing raw data like this, that should be passed as encoded data. That's the principle. So instead of even to the file, right? If you see our file program, where we have studied the file. Yeah, here. If you see this program, you straight away never write something, right? So what we do, we create, what you can say, we create a bytes, and we store the bytes in a record, right? Although this write file uses a string over here, but internally it stores the bytes. So it is a good practice, right? It's a good practice, and it's a suggested one that you should pass a byte over here. And I think, yeah, so JSON.stringify, it is a string. Instead of passing string straight away, you need to pass the bytes, right? And that's why we have converted them to the data. Principle of buffer says that whatever I am going to store on the system, or whatever I am going to send on a platform or on the wire, that is nothing but your HTTP connection. So whenever you make a request, there is a one connection gets established between the client and server, and there we are going to pass what? Bytes only. So here you need to pass the bytes, and that would be much easier for underlying system. Getting that thing? If you don't do, it will automatically convert to the bytes, but you need to do it. Now now see, here you are using the encoder. You might use some another encoder also, if you want to encrypt it by means of some key, and then you need to pass encrypted data over the wire, that is the HTTP connection between the client and server, that also you can do over here. That's why encoding is really important, right? And another thing about the encoding, you need to remove the spaces and other things from the data, and then you need to pass a raw byte buffer to the server. That is really important. You can do like this also, but it will automatically internally convert, that chunk would be getting converted, but all the raw level operations like file handling or your network communication should be by means of buffer only, and that's why you need to create here byte buffer. This data should be in a buffered format only or byte format only.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have seen get method, we have seen post method. Now what I want you to do, have you typed this, Vikas? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Have you typed this code?
Not, sir.
Please type it.
Okay.
Because what's happening is that your code typing is also important, and whenever actually this should be done by all of you in your time, right? But I think you guys are not getting time to perform this, so I'm requesting you to do now itself,
Okay, sir.
or you will do on your own later on. You tell me. I'm okay with the both.
We'll do it in free time, sir.
Oh.
It will-
Okay, sure, no problem. Vikas, what do you think?
Okay, sir, we'll do it.
Okay, so HTTP, so JSON we have studied, HTTP, JSON, and MIME types. I'm pushing the code. Now next thing is creating the HTTP server. Let's create the HTTP server. Just go through the code in the 2 minutes about the JSON, then we'll start again. I'll share one link, and to that link just see how many status codes are there.
Okay.
Just a moment, I'll show you that. See, these many status codes are available. 100, 10. Do you remember yesterday we discussed the status code which starts from 2? What do you mean by that? See, these are the standard status codes from 100 to 511. Just type this line console.log require HTTP. Just get the HTTP module, and inside that there is a status codes object. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let us try to build the HTTP server, right? New file, main HTTP server dot JS, main HTTP server dot JS. So first we are requiring HTTP, require HTTP package. Here we are requiring what? First HTTP package. Then what we would be creating? We would be creating HTTP dot create server. HTTP dot create server, and if you see first parameter, or you just need to pass the lambda. I'll show you that. Here we can have lambda request response, right? Create HTTP server. So here what you are trying to do exactly, you are just trying to create HTTP server, your own HTTP server, right? That HTTP server will serves the requests. If you want to get the file, you can communicate with this HTTP server. If you want to get some service, or if you want to build some service that will give you the response properly, you will use this HTTP server, right? And in this way, by means of node module, remember that we are not going to use this to build our standard HTTP servers that can be used in a production grade system. We would be using what you can say Express.js for that, which is our next topic, right? But internally, node provides you HTTP server also, and how that works, that we are going to see. Okay, now see, this is a create HTTP server. You will get detailed documentation on this website. If you go create HTTP server, you will get that method. Node modules. Yeah, HTTP. Okay. Guys, just a moment. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.